Hi everyone, this is a video of our tumbler change. We do a tumbler change every week and we have to change out 10 different tubs this time. This is batch 1 that we're doing here. This is rose quartz. And as you can see, Gabe dumps them out into the bucket, rinses all the grit or polish. This one had polish in it. And then we have to check all the rocks to make sure that there's no breakage, make sure that they're all smooth. These are coming out of step 4, going into the final stage of polish. They look pretty nice. We've been wanting to do a video like this for a long time. We have a lot of people always ask, like, how often do you have to check them? I would say it's probably about 8 weeks total, and that's if you have pretty round rocks. If they're pretty jagged, they're going to spend a lot of time in stage 1. You still have to change them out every week. Once they are the shape that you want them, and there's no holes really, or no cracks, broken pieces, then you can move them on to a stage 2, which is step 2, which is a little bit more fine of a grit. And that's how they end up getting shiny. You go smaller and smaller. All of these are going back into the drum. And we use plastic pellets. They look kind of gray in this. They've kind of been changed by the color of the polish, but when we get them, they're white. They're just white plastic pellets. We use the plastic when we are doing the polish phase. So step 4 and step 5 get plastic. All the rest gets ceramic. You basically really want to make sure that none of the grit goes down the drain of your pipes. So that's why we do it over a bucket, and then Gabe will take the buckets outside. And he dumps them into another bucket, and we just basically pour the water off each week. And then it gets really hard, and then you can dry it out and throw it in the trash. So now he's adding the polish, the borax, and the water. We add 1 scoop of borax to every drum. That way it keeps the polish off of the rocks, keeps the rocks clean. They sometimes have a film on them, so we use the borax to keep it from getting filmy. So yes, he's securing the lid and labeling it for step 5. This is batch 2. All right, this one's Tiger's Eye, one of our favorites to tumble, and they always look so nice when they come out. These also were in a stage 4 for a week, which is basically a pre-polish. Then I get the drum all rinsed out. And we're just going to basically, again, check them for cracks, scratches, breakage. And if they're pretty smooth, which all of these look to be, they can go back in the drum and they'll go into a stage 5 as well. We have the system down pretty well now. We've done this for over 1.5 years. I know a lot of people are interested in tumbling rocks and they want rock tumblers. I will just warn you that it is expensive. It is time consuming. And it's not a guaranteed science. Sometimes you'll get through all the stages and one of your rocks will break off in the last stage and it'll ruin your whole batch of rocks and you have to tumble them again. Other times, certain rocks that are pretty big, you want them to stay big, they won't. They will break down to nothing. It's taken us about 1.5 years to get the process down pretty well. We can do all 10 drums in about probably 1.5 hours to 2 hours. This day we recorded the whole thing so you could actually see everything that we do. Kind of hard to explain this to people, so I thought that I would do this video. This is why some of the rocks that you see in shops, they're kind of expensive, and you think, I'm not going to pay $6 for a rock. Probably because it spent about 8 to 12 weeks in a tumbler and somebody literally had to check on them every week. Batch 3. Now this one I have some staged, as you can see in the bowl. This is quartz and citrine. In the bowl I also had some moss agate just because I didn't have enough bowls. But we do have a few quartz that are waiting. They are staged. We call that staging for step 2. And as some come out that are perfect, that we want to move on to stage 2, we will add more rough or more citrine in with the quartz and just keep a 1 going until we have enough rocks to do a step 2. So you can see the yellow rocks down in there. That's obviously the citrine. It is not natural citrine. Natural citrine is pretty expensive and hard to come by. That is the yellow stone. These are heat-treated amethysts. Most citrine that you see, anything of this size, is going to be heat-treated amethyst. And what that means is basically they take the amethyst and they heat it really, really, really hot and it turns yellow. So that is called man-made citrine. You can find natural citrine, but again, like I said, it's expensive and you don't find big pieces like this generally. So here in the video, I've pulled about 4 aside that look pretty decent. The rest of them all need to go back in because they have little cracks. And then I put those in the bowl for next time until we get enough to do a stage 2. Sometimes I'll take them back out and think, okay, you can go another week. Now here I'm using the ceramic media. And that is basically just to ensure that the ceramic gets into the little creases and crevices to make them round. So these are going to go back into a step 1. You're going to make sure that your drum is 2/3 full. You don't want the drum too full. You don't want to cushion it too much. Batch 4. Carnelian. Carnelian is an orange agate stone. With this batch 1, we put some pretty rough looking stones in. We save the rounder ones back and we kind of fill those in. And some of these are perfect and we move them on. Then we have more room in the drum. So then we would add a few more carnelians, but they are already going to be pretty round. So yes, the first step takes a long time in stage 1, and sometimes you're just like, yep, well, back into stage 1 again for the 4th or 5th week. But stage 1 is the most important, and you're gonna want to move them on. You want these rocks done, but at the same time, if you want them really pretty, you've got to focus on step 1. That'll be the grit that you use the most of. And all of these, we're going to go back in the drum and back in step 1. Patch number 5, Ohio Flint. Last year, Gabe and I went and picked this flint up in Hopewell, Ohio. The Hopewell Indians used this area, and they got all their flint for their arrowheads, spearheads. We were never aware that Ohio flint was all these different colors. We always believed it to be black, gray, charcoal color. On the Mohs hardness, 7, I believe. So this spends a lot of time in step 1. They have a place where you can just go and mine it yourself. You go up into the ground and just take buckets home if you want. They pay by the pound. It's like $10, I think, to go. And then you just take your bucket and your little shovels, and you can stay there as long as you want to and get as much as you want. It is kind of cool to see the rocks each week. You do remember them. You're like, okay, it looks a lot better this week. Or sometimes we say, nope, it didn't do anything. It needs to go back in. So all of these are going back in. I do have a calendar. I record which batch is in which step. That is at the end of the video. There's a broken one. It will go back into our back stock, and it'll go in with rough the next time we do a flint. And we're on to batch 6. This is moss agate and bloodstone. They're the same hardness, so we do tumble them together sometimes. The moss agate is one of our favorite. They're so cool. And the bloodstone's mostly green, but it does have hints of red through them. It can be red, sometimes gold through them. And the bowl in front is the staged stuff that we have ready to go on to 2. Basically what I'm doing is checking just to make sure that it's perfect, it's the way we want it, and it moves on. Sometimes it's only 2 rocks. per batch that moves on, and then the rest goes back into a 1. If you guys have any questions on how we do things, you can just leave comments below. We'll try to answer them. Batch 7. This batch is also Ohio flint. This is the one that I believe goes back into 1. However, we were running low on step 1 grit, and we still have 3 more barrels to go through. And then Gabe realized that the lid was getting kind of thin and we needed to order a new drum. Sometimes that happens when they're going 24/7 and they're just rolling. The rocks beat up the inside of the lid, so they get thin. That one we kept back until we got more grit and a new barrel. We'll start that tomorrow. This is batch 8. Snowflake obsidian, which is like normal obsidian. It is a volcanic rock, but it has like snowflake type inclusions in it. It's really cool. This is also a favorite. A lot of people like snowflake obsidian. At our last craft show, we had someone ask, how do you paint those little designs on there? Well, we don't paint them. The earth created them that way. We just tumble them and make them round and make them shiny. I will be doing more videos of all of our rocks, so you'll get close-ups and you'll get to see prettier rocks. I'm just showing you the process in this video. These will all go back in. I think we have enough grit that we can do this one last barrel in step 1. And we'll put some more grit on the order. Gabe gets to add the goodies, add the water, put the lid on tight and label it. We normally label the lid what it is. So we would say snowflake obsidian, step 1, and then we put the date when we are going to open it, which would be next Sunday. This is 9, this is Seaber agate. We have a bowl full of rocks that are ready for step 2. Most of these look like they should be pretty round and ready to move on. Hopefully they do, because we don't have any more stage 1 grit. But I do believe most all of these are ready to move on. These are a super cool rock. These do have natural holes in them as well. There were a few there that were not ready to move on to a 2, so they go back into our rough box downstairs, our backstock, until we go to start another cedar agate, and then we will put them back into a step 1. But because we don't have any step 1 grit, we're going to move the ones that were ready with ceramic, and we're going to move those on. All right, batch 10, last and final batch, Tiger's Eye. Now these are super cool. We're moving these onto a 2 as well. I'm hoping that most all of them are ready to move on. Again, you want to rinse all that grit into your barrel. You don't want any of that going down your drain. It will ruin your plumbing. Let's get a look. They look pretty smooth. We have some blue Tiger's Eye in here as well. Most of them look pretty decent. At least we have enough for step 2. All right, Tiger's Eye ready for 2. The rest will go back down into our backstock or our rough stuff. I'm going to take this ceramic out and dry it and put it back in our container. Gabe puts the grit in, borax, and water. There they go back into our rough container that's labeled Tiger's Eye, goes down to our garage. He's going to put it on the tumbler, and I'm going to show you cleanup. Not the fun part, but not too bad. Like I said, we have it down pretty well that both of us know what we're doing. I put the ceramic back into the container, use it for next time. These little tiny bits and pieces of ceramic, I'm just going to pitch, throw in the garbage. Wash all of our stuff up real good and get my kitchen back to normal. Here are our tumblers. There are 9. You can see the 1 is missing one. That will be the flint. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. This is just a shot of my calendar and how we record everything on the calendar and when we're going to open them back up again.